Happy Sunday, everyone. I know daylight savings has thrown people off. I know it's thrown me off at least a few times today. So I'm glad that you were with us today. And we have a great guest tonight. We have Sean Austin, who I've met several times throughout the years. So I'm super excited to have him on the show tonight. But first, we will go through our little normal intros. We still have t-shirts available. They are 25 plus shipping, or 25 at events if you see me at any upcoming events. We have our long sleeves for 35, and then we have our hoodies and zip-ups for 45 plus shipping. Those are not going to be at events because those are special order items. So if you want them, feel free to pick them, order one through me. But I do have this really fun new item up that we will. Let me turn off my thing here. Hold on one sec so you guys can see it. We have our new Unturned Pages candle that just came in from my friends at Shadowwick. This is the top. They're all handmade. The description is: intention is to connect and to honor all things metaphysical, promotes community building, seeking truth, seeing through illusions, communication, boosting intuition, protection, connection, awakening, and enlightenment and illumination. The oils are ylang and amber oil, and then the herbs on the top are wormwood, rosemary, and dandelion leaf. All handmade. They are special order. They are 35 plus shipping. That is amazing. As you can see, the delicate design on the top. So if you're interested in ordering one, let me know and we can get one ordered and shipped to you. Let's see what else we have here. We still have a couple of our unturned bracelets from Maximalas, so check them out if you can. Thank you to our sponsors, Small Town Productions, Larry Eisler III, and then we have Breaking Fate Entertainment. Upcoming events I will be at that you can come and see me at, or the next one is the Booze on the Battleship, which I will be with Sean Austin at. It is down at USS North Carolina in Wilmington, North Carolina. Super excited. It is April 26th. I believe a couple more tickets are available, so check it out. You get full day access on the battleship, which is amazing. The next guest that we have next week is Sam Balchusis. I'm super excited to have him on and talk to him about his books and his paranormal journey, as well as his spiritual journey. If you can, check out Paraventure. It is an online Paracon. Super excited. They do have an in-person option as well in Bay City, Michigan. Check that out. Some amazing people will be part of that, as you can see on the banner. And it's relatively cheap. I believe it's like $35 to $50 to join online. And then there's additional tickets for in-person. Paranormal Lockdown is coming up very fast. Is July 17th and 18th, I believe, in Broadhead, Wisconsin. So come out and check that out. Amazing lineup. A ton of people will be there. It's a great event. And then we have the Christmas in July Battlefield Bash that following weekend, July 25th through the 27th. So come out to Gettysburg, one of the most haunted cities, and see some of your favorite people from TV, learn and explore the city. Never a dull moment in Gettysburg. And then November 15th and 16th, check out the Dark Arts and Oddities Con in DeKalb, Illinois. So tonight our guest is Sean Austin. You might have seen him on 28 Days Haunted. He is a medium, a demonologist, an author. He just launched a paranormal app as well for Apple. So let's bring him on. Hello.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. staying warm down in, I think you're in South Carolina now, or North
Uh,
Carolina?
North Carolina. I'm right around the corner from the battleship where we're having the event. I'm literally like 5-10 minutes away.
Oh, wow. So you know exactly where that event is going to be next month.
Yes, yes. I've been on the ship once. It's very cool. It's definitely active.
Oh, cool. Like, I've only been on one battleship, and that was USS Salem for a day tour. And I've always wanted to go to North Carolina's battleship. So I'm like, yay. When Katie messaged me, it's like, do you want to do air photos? And I'm like, you don't have to twist my arm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that event's gonna be amazing. There's amazing people who will be at that event. We'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But tell everyone a little about yourself. I know I did a little quick bio, but you're always the king of explaining yourself.
Yeah, and it's this year is 15 years I've been investigating the paranormal. Yes, I'm also demonologist, medium, paranormal researcher. I've authored 2 books about my paranormal experiences. It's definitely my passion. Definitely been a whirlwind of changing my life around, getting involved with this stuff. But I know I'm doing what I'm meant to do, so that's what I'm just been following that lead up until this present day.
That's awesome. I know I met you, I think, for the first time. I think it's 28 Days Haunted, maybe before then, but we really started talking at 28 Days Haunted, and then we saw each other again at another event. So I'm super excited that you finally were able to come on and talk with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Ben Bishop just posted the link to your new app. So
Yeah.
tell us about your app that you just launched for Apple.
Absolutely. So I came up with this idea because when I was first got involved in the paranormal, I did research on EVPs about frequencies, and I learned that audio forensic analysis would look at a piece of audio and see that there's a human voice on the recording, but the frequency behind the voice cannot be human. So I thought about what if there was some sort of software that could actually analyze and do like a text to speech capability and use that software that would only look for a bracket of frequencies that cannot be human speech, that are outside of human speech frequencies, and only look for words, bracket of frequencies that would be in the class A EVP range, that would be a disembodied voice. And with the technological advancements that we have today, we're able to use this AI text to speech that is analyzing the audio and the environment and trying to disseminate words that cannot be us speaking, and has the ability to say any word in any language. A lot of these typical other methods that are been around for many years, they're limited to their vocabulary list, and I wanted to have something that has no limitation to what the spirits can say, because if you limit what the spirits can say, then you limit the research,
Yeah.
investigation, as well as what the spirits are capable of saying. And obviously we don't want something like that. So that's what it's exciting to me. And if somebody else created this thing, I would be using it myself. And we're super excited about the new update that we just put out for SPI. You just the SAM mode, where you just press the button and leave it on the table, and it's been spitting out sentences. I mean, it's cursing. It said other languages to
Oh,
me.
wow.
It's been in sync and connecting to responses on the spirit box and EVPs. And that's what I encourage people to do, is just like anything else, even myself being sensitive, is you're all looking for validation and a little piece of connectivity on different elements of what you're investigating with, an investigation to try to lean towards what is valued and true and genuine, as you get more layers of information that are leading towards that area. And it's been pretty amazing what we've come up with so far, with what it's doing. And I'm really excited for more people to hear about it and use it on investigations and keep innovating and improving it on that idea, the original concept.
That's so interesting. So when is it coming to Android? Because I have an Android, so.
I know most people in the paranormal, I feel like they do have Android. Funny because the technology was only on Apple, as we were building the app. So
Mhm.
this AI and all this new technology, it's molding and changing every day, but which is also exciting too, because as soon as that technology advances, also the original concept will also advance too, and then it can be implemented to all the users all at once, as we see the technology go on and on and on, progress with its technology. But we're hoping in the coming months that Android will be available as well. But right now it's available on iOS. And yes, there's a lot of Android users that have asked about it.
Yeah. I saw you post it for the first time. I'm like, oh, it's iOS. I can't use it.
Yeah,
This is
I
like
know.
a wait for the
I
iPhone
myself am
company.
using it on an iPad because I have a Galaxy phone myself. I had to purchase an iPad just so I could use it. So I understand that. But there's also another cool feature that's on there. I also have prayers that I use for spiritual protection in the back. If you want to use the prayers
Oh
that I
wow.
use, obviously anyone, whatever, spiritual belief that you want to use that you feel that'll be protection for you. But that's at the back of the app. But as well as the map, I think there was something in the map that I wanted to put in there I thought was really unique. And as we gain more users and more interactiveness within the app and the map, is that, say for instance that you're like in a cemetery somewhere and you're in the back corner of a cemetery and you see a shadow figure, and you
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to upload an image, put a description of what you experienced, and then drop that pin. And once that pin is approved on the map, we want to make sure it's not spam. Um, Other people can get driving directions to that place that you report a paranormal activity, as well as walking directions right to that pin, and then
Oh wow.
compare the results of what someone else had, and then leave your own experience as well. Which I think, again, as more users start to use that map feature, it'll become very useful and unique to what the map actually provides.
Oh wow. Yeah, now I really need to go find an iPad and get this app because it seems really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and like we have lots of more ideas that are coming and want to do things that haven't been done before, and that really taking frogs leap into the future with what we can do with the technology that we have every day that's coming.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. It just keeps adding and adding new things to it every time that you can figure out how to add to it.
Hmm.
Definitely. So, did you like live in a haunted house to get you into the paranormal, or did you have like an experience at a haunted location, or how
Well,
did you get into this?
I was actually waitering at a restaurant, and a friend of mine who was also a waiter, he was very most skeptical person about ghosts ever, and I always believed in spirits and ghosts. I was a horror movie buff as a child, and I watched all those shows back in the early '80s and '90s, Unsolved Mysteries to Sightings to
Mm-hmm.
A Haunting and Discovery Channel. I really just believed in ghosts. I loved hearing people's stories and really, in the genuinity of what they were experiencing. It's funny, I never thought of actually just going out and looking myself. I just kind of sat on the outside, like most average
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah, right.
I wanted him to have an experience. I decided to have him take him to a local cemetery where three women in white that will chase you out of the cemetery. And in the process, while he's laughing the entire night, I had a flip phone and I got my first EVP of a little girl in front of the little girl's grave. And I didn't know I had it until the next night. And it was a defining moment or trigger, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
where like, wow, it's real. And I was chilling. It was scary. It's freaky. But also, it was exhilarating. And that's when I started going out. I started going out to cemeteries before you could live stream or anything. I was just going out
Right.
order, a K2 meter or a spirit box. And I just, to know the fact that this stuff was real and to have an experience enough,
Mm-hmm.
just exciting enough. And then I just started reading books. And my first book that I ever read was, The Demonologist by Ed Lorraine Warren. And then John Zappis's book, Shadows of the Dark. And then, Dark Sacrament. Like I started reading a book about demonology too. And it's interesting because people started pulling me on podcasts and they were telling me I have a calling. I really didn't know what they meant, but I guess the way that I actually was speaking about, the paranormal and dealing with dark stuff, the way I spoke about it, I guess they believed that I had a calling. And I guess that was drawing me into the demonology aspect with my experiences. Because as soon as I started investigating the paranormal, and even that first incident that night with the EVP of the little girl, 2-3 weeks later, saw a shadow little girl. I started having premonitions and dreams and experiences. It was like a flip of the switch. And it was just like, I feel like I was skipping the spiritual pay grades more than your average person very, very swiftly and quickly,
Oh
and
yeah.
very overwhelming. And it was definitely some moments where I was just like pretty overwhelmed. I'm like, what did I just do? But there's no
What did
turning
I
back.
get myself into?
Yeah, yeah. But I just was following that lead. It took my whole life off into a different direction, and because my first passion was like being a musician and singer songwriter, but the paranormal kind of took over and took me over to a whole new direction. But been following that lead ever since. It's been a reoccurring theme of dealing with dark things and not just helping people, but trying to help souls that are earthbound find a peace and into the light to transition to peace. And even my books, they were called Shadow Chaser, which is an interesting element that had happened too. I didn't really just call that book because it sounded cool. A good friend of mine had actually shown my picture to a psychic that she trusts, who doesn't know who I was at the time, and asked her what are your psychic impressions of him. And she's like, he's a shadow chaser. He's meant to take shadows and send them back to where they belong. And that's why I call those books that, because that's a random psychic gave me that name, and it was a very definitive, correct explanation of who I am and the reoccurring theme of what I've been in, how I've been involved with the paranormal. So it's definitely been on point with that. Yeah, it's just been a wild ride.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like it. So, what was the process of becoming a demonologist? Because I know it's not an easy process to become a demonologist unless you just, there's some people on like YouTube and TikTok that claim to be a demonologist just to say they are, but really not.
Right.
Like people on TikTok always say that they're a demonologist when they're really not.
Right. So again, in that process, people tell me I had a calling to deal with demonology and stuff like that, and doing my own podcast as well. And that's how it led me to meet Ralph Sarchi, who was the inspiration for the movie Deliver Us from Evil. He
Yep.
also started out working with Ed and Lorraine Warren, and then he was mentored under Malachi Martin and Bishop McKenna, which I would consider probably the most respected exorcists of our time. And I was mentored under him, and that's for the first TV show I got on, The Demon Files, that was on originally Destination America and Travel Channel. And I learned a lot from him throughout the years, and I approached the cases that I deal with, trying to help families in the way that he had taught me.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, I guess, he kind of told me, Sean, you're a demonologist. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel comfortable with that title because I really didn't know what I needed to do to deserve that title, so to speak. But someone of Ralph's stature, and obviously I have nothing but, immense amount of respect for Ralph, I had to take the title that he's telling me to do. He's like, you approach the cases the way I showed you're a demonologist. So,
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the years of, I've studied and read books about demonic hauntings and going on cases with Ralph throughout the years. Trust me, I felt uncomfortable taking it because I don't want to just throw around that word lightly anyway.
Yeah.
Any average person. And I know how people are sensitive with that word too, because of how easily kind of young kids throw it around YouTube like it's a buzzer on a game show. And I wouldn't say that word lightly unless, it was something prevalent, or, even myself being intuitive and really feeling like there might be like a legitimate demonic infestation going on. I wouldn't throw around that, unless it was something legitimate. But these things are real, and I've seen it up close and personal. It's why my faith is so strong to this day. It's probably why I'm still still surviving, because I've probably had some of the darkest, creepiest experiences that you could have in the paranormal world, dealing with that taboo corner of the paranormal. So, but I feel, again, that's a calling to deal with that sort of stuff. I feel like pathways open, and people get drawn to me. Cases come to me for specific reasons. It's kind of like this magnetic pull that's behind the curtain, so to speak, of things coming to you or you being drawn to it.
Right.
Deal with that sort of stuff. So I've been following that lead and feeling, just doing what I feel is my purpose, and trying to overcome those challenges for myself, attaining knowledge from my experiences and using those experiences to help others the way that would be able to help them from those experiences, and bringing light to whoever darkness reigns for many of these people, and bringing spiritual awareness to that situation, whatever individual or individuals are going through.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I know Kelly just asked a question in the chat. Have you ever been to Eloise Asylum up near Detroit, Michigan?
Yes, I've been there once or twice. Those asylums are really sensitive wise. I really tap into some of the things that go on there. I can feel a lot of the torment that they've gone through. I've had like, urges to like want to shake and like almost like hit my head on the walls.
Mhm.
It's a lot that comes
It
through.
is.
It's so immense, and it's so layered with the amount of people that are still there,
Yeah.
earthbound, just the residual imprints. Asylums are very unique to the energy to going
Oh,
into
yeah,
location,
definitely.
more so than like many other places, because you're talking about like hundreds or thousands of people that have gone through these walls and these halls that have suffered immensely, that were treated horribly, and all the death and destruction. And then also too, I mean, I experienced this a lot too, is that these places and whatever was going on there that was oppressive and negative at the time. But like, all these kids that go to these places and do occult activity and bring it because they want to do
Right.
something that's creepy and of the macabre. And then they want to bring that somewhere that already has that environment
Right.
aesthetic. And, they open up more doorways and more darker things to come through that was maybe not there in the first place. And then they activate these places. And then you're dealing with all sorts of new dark and malevolent entities that weren't even there to begin with, or just added on to what was already there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know Kelly just took over as like the paranormal director at Eloise, so she'll probably reach out and try to get you back there to
Oh yeah,
do.
I'd love to go back. I mean, yeah, that's a very cool place. I mean, I remember hearing there was like a whole town around that building at time, and I think they knocked it
Oh
down.
yeah. Hmm.
Then I'm sure, like, I never even did the outside. I'm sure there's just stuff everywhere, but yeah, I mean, again, those asylums, man, they're very unique to the characteristics of the beyond the veil energy that's just screaming out from the walls. And you never know what you're going to get. Every time you go to a place that can be totally new, and
Totally new. Yeah.
you, from what before you when you actually went the first time.
Yeah. Like I went last year, almost, yeah, exactly, almost last year, just as a day tour. My friend was the one of the lead tour people at that time, and we were just walking around. It was like 10 a.m. And throughout the time we were in the building, we were hearing screaming, we were hearing footsteps running, shuffling, things being moved throughout
Mm.
the whole building of Eloise. So I'm
Yep.
going back next month in less than 30 days and spending a few hours there. So I'm super excited to see what I can pick up even more because I'm a psychic medium.
Mhm.
So when I went for the first time, I just felt like that pain and that like sadness. So I'm excited to go back and check it out even more. And I know Kelly told me they're about to demo one of the outside buildings again. Another one. I think
Mhm.
she said there's like 3 or 4, I think, that are left.
Oh, well.
Um, but she's gonna try to see if they can open one up before they demo it to see if there's paranormal activity because not anyone really goes into the other buildings at Eloise. It's just
Right.
that main
Oh,
building. So you're basically tapping into the unknown, really, because you don't know what happens in that building.
yeah,
So I'm,
absolutely.
yeah. And let me just ask a question. Hold on one sec. Um, hold on. Oh yeah, Sean. Kelly says Sean's been all over. I feel like every night on TikTok he's somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I guess it's good to be busy with the passion, man. As much as I can,
Right?
have the ability to do so, I try to do it. I mean, I experience something paranormal every single day of my life, whether it's here at my home or wherever I go. I'm definitely doing backstrokes in it, any way that I can. Yeah, it's it's a lot, but I do what I can.
I was gonna say your apartment is very haunted too.
Of course, it is. Yeah.
Oh, it is my co-host Alicia. She's joining us.
Hi. Sorry
She
for
had
the
some
delay.
dryer issues, so she had to do that.
No, nobody wants that.
No, right? So how did you get
Yeah,
to
so
take?
duct work. If you have duct work problems, then use duct tape, not clamps, because the duct tape worked a lot better.
So, how did you get on 28 Days Content? What was that process? And what did you like? What was your major lesson from being part of that production?
Well, I was contacted online by a talent agent, told me about it, and I was on the roster. Um, I was on the roster with a couple other people that I had brought on to potentially be one of the teams, but last minute I kind of got thrown into the craziness. But with that show, I do believe that I was meant to be there, I was destined to be there. And if you have watched the show, I encourage you to go on my YouTube and watch what you didn't see on the show. The evidence that led to a song that I created, and the connection, how deep and in depth it truly went, with probably the most emotional, beautiful, and sad paranormal experience I've ever encountered. And I had that opportunity to be able to have something like that, being at a location for that long, being sensitive and engaging spirits 24/7, all those days and weeks. But it was truly something special, and I take away that experience. Most importantly, that connection with that woman, believing that I had my hand to help her out and reunite with her loved one, and having that evidence of her humming a melody that I was playing with my guitar around the house, and to have that
Mm-hmm.
the song and naming the song after her, and and incorporating words that I feel psychically she was writing, with her letter to him, as not knowing if he'd ever return. I mean, it's something so unique and special. It'll be a part of what I talk about in my lectures, I'm sure, for the rest of my life.
Wow, that is beautiful. You writing a song for her, that is so wonderful that you did that. Like,
Oh, were
you
you able to hear it?
truly, like, I have not heard it yet, but I want to listen to it, of course. But
Yeah.
I didn't know you wrote a song for her. So it was
Oh,
like, that really means like that you truly care, like you deeply care about the spirit, you know?
that was the real reason why I was like tearing up in front of that grave, is because of the song thing that happened. Because you see part of it on the show. I was sitting in the chair, and I was starting to have visions of her, and he was showing me what happened to him. I saw a vision of him like changing the steering wheel of the ship abruptly, like he was in a storm or something. She told me shipwreck, and she showed me a golden locket of what she looked like. She was a young, beautiful woman, and I just felt the years of heartache, and we intertwined with something that I was going on, at the time myself, and I just started to sob. I couldn't stop crying. I literally, out of nowhere, I started to hear in my head the acoustic chords of the song that I was playing around the house, which I had told everyone previously that with all my downtime, that I was going to write a song because I feel so connected to this woman, and then how she lost her captain. And I'm sitting here living every single day without any phone, TV, or internet, or any contact with my loved ones. Like, she came to me in my bedroom. Like, I see her standing there, and I realized it was her later, but we connected on a very profound, unique manner that I don't even know if anyone's had a thing like that, where a song was created. I mean, she was able to have her voice, transmit and be a part. I mean, she co-wrote the song with me technically. I mean, her voice is on the song, or some of her words are the first line of the song. And to have that dedication, and that's really what song music does. It's an amplification, and it's a release. I mean, that's what songwriting was always for me, is that
Mm-hmm.
that's so emotionally distressing, put it into words, and sing it in that melody. And the melodies have the characteristics to all the human emotions that we have, whether it's sadness, aggression, or happiness, inspiration, whatever it may be. And it was truly special. And it's crazy. I mean, like, that was the reason. I knew it. I heard the chords playing in my head, and I'm like, I knew it. I'm like, she knows about the song. I knew it, and it made me just totally just break me down. And I had to stand outside, get air. And I remember her saying to me, you were meant to come here. You captured my essence. And when I went back the next day, I listened to the recording right before you hear me say, like, oh my God, she knows about the song. She's literally humming the melody to the song that I was humming around the house. She was watching me play the guitar by myself inside the house, or all the way in the backyard by myself, as I came up with this song that I planned to write for her and her loss of her captain. And it wasn't just an idea of writing that song anymore. It was a mission. And I knew, and I said, I thanked her for that experience because it was so unique. And that's why I knew I had to put flowers in front of her grave. I didn't care about the cameras anymore. I had something that was special to me. It didn't matter about any of that garbage. It's a shame they didn't put it on the show. It didn't matter. It had something to do with me, because I feel like my experience is very powerful, and it's something that people need to see, the power of love and how it lives on. I mean, the loss of a loved one is something that everyone's going to go through in their life. And to know that this lady was still missing her captain, still looking for her, spirit was there, And to have this connection. And, I went down to Nashville and recorded the song. And, I'll never forget when I got the final version of the song, I had a vision of a woman in a green dress giving me a curtsy. And I knew it was her saying, thank you, what you did. And I'll never forget the first day the show came out. I was passed out on the couch and I had another vision of this woman in a green dress. And there was this guy who was like, took her up dancing with her and kind of like spun her around in his hand and then put her up in her arms. I just had this really good feeling. I just knew that something really good happened from what I used my free will to do to help this woman. And, what's really creepy and weird too, well, not creepy, but just kind of eerie, is that I knew I wanted to do a music video to get visual, and I did, and you can watch this video, 28 Days, type in Mercy, 28 Days Haunted on YouTube to watch evidence, spirit box stuff, and all that stuff that you didn't see in the show about the song and how she knew. I filmed on the beach here where I'm living now. It's kind of funny, which I did at the time. I never knew I'd be living here, but a few years ago, I wanted to do on the beach because he shipwrecked on the ocean, and I had a girl dancing around me as I was singing the song, and the guy who was doing the filmmaking, he wants to know about the story, and I didn't even know myself. I looked up and I realized that Captain Grant, because here I am in Wilmington, North Carolina, Captain Grant, where I was filming the music video on the water right there, he had actually allegedly shipwrecked 3 hours out to sea from where I was actually doing the video off Cape Hatteras in North Carolina. And I'm just like, that's
Wow.
And then I found out that he made this statement the day that he built the house, and it's online on 1754, February 13th. That's my birthday. And I'm just like,
Wow.
all the connections. And then led me back to what she had said to me that night. You were meant to come here. You captured my essence. And it's definitely one of the most beautiful songs I've ever written, and you can hear it. It's a very special, experience for me. And again, that's really what I take away from that experience filming that show.
So you were definitely met where you were supposed to be at.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's funny because, like I said,
synchronicities.
I got on that show last minute. It was kind of a fluke, weird thing, and for me to land in that place, it was definitely meant to be. From what I experienced there, no question. I have no doubt about that.
It just sounds like it. Like, yeah, you were definitely meant to be there, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a new YouTube series called Up Against Evil.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about it and what people can expect from it?
Well, number one, I'm learning about filmmaking and trying to get better at it. But I really wanted to get back to try to help families dealing with dark and malevolent forces in their homes. Now, I do believe I kind of have a unique approach to the paranormal than your average person just helping families, considering my background in demonology, being a medium, and also, the way that I actually try to help the souls cross into the light, incorporate, because that's the way I try to approach, these cases, because when people go into their homes and say, okay, it's haunted, rather than just trying to send off a bomb of light and try to displace all the energies out, I really try to get down on an individual level with the spirits and say, look, I try to give them incentive and inspiration to why that they need to leave this behind and transition, and find peace in what I do to really get down on an individual level. And I think that has a better chance to help the situations rather than just trying to push everything out and then all of a sudden they can come back too, because it really doesn't solve the issue. But I really want to go around and do what I feel like I'm called to do. So that's what I'm going to do as I progress with doing that and going to people's homes and they might be dealing with something that's truly demonic in nature. And I have the ability to do an exorcism ritual on a house. I don't do exorcisms on people. That's, the right priest for that. So, I just want to help people and bring awareness and, show people how I approach the paranormal and give them respect to the souls and not just the people that need help with the earthbound souls that are stuck. Because, I have so much reciprocal evidence from spirits, and what they come through and speak to me so much over and over consistently is that, they want prayer. And I think that's very powerful. For people to witness, to see that the power of prayer for someone that's in 100% spirit form, telling me that prayer is going to help them because they're in a spiritual reality. I mean, we can sit here and speculate what they're going through, but they are in spirit form. And if they know that prayer will help them, that just shows you the power of prayer. And I think that's powerful, and I think that brings spiritual awareness and good to people to watch me and how I approach. And I always pray for spirits. I leave the spirit box on, and I think that's powerful too, because I've literally, in many instances, have spirits praying with me in sync, and then having these voices saying, "Thank you, I'm going to heaven. I've seen my family." Like I've had just hundreds of times where evidence like that has come through so clearly, and I think that brings a positive, purposeful meaning to the paranormal and what I'm doing, and also for what people can actually witness as well, rather than just the eccentric, scary, cinematic horror stuff. I mean, it's all exciting for us all, obviously, but these are human souls. We're all brothers and sisters that come from the same source of light, and I think we should show that respect and not just sit there and treat them like they're a gerbil in a wheel in a cage and say, "Great, thanks for coming back," and take off. I mean, I really do believe that spirits can actually see the colorization of your aura around you and know your intent subconsciously, whether you
definitely.
hope or not. And they'll be more willing to interact with you when they know that you're actually true at heart, and have that willingness to do that extra step to try and help them, and not just say, "Hey, tell your story." And like, I will try to help you if I have that ability. And the reciprocal results of evidence, I think, will be astounding if more people actually approach it that way.
I agree with that. Like on TikTok, you see all these like younger people going into these haunted locations and being like screaming at them, trying to get them to show themselves. I'm like, you have to be at their level. Like they're people too. You have to treat them like you're treating someone else. They're not like puppets. They don't show up and just do what you ask.
Right. Unless
You
they're just
definitely.
desperate. And in some cases, they still will come out and speak to you, because any opportunity to interact with the living, and I do believe that most of these human souls, they're here because they have not let go of the human life they once lived. So obviously, we know acknowledgement is a very profound element of the paranormal, and connecting with humans in the physical plane. And obviously, they hadn't let go of the human life they once lived. Otherwise, they would have already transitioned. They wouldn't be here. Them connecting with us actually makes them feel like they're still alive in the physical plane. It gives them energy, it makes them feel human again. And that's why they're still stuck in the first place in many of these cases. So, that desperation will still come through. And that's probably why a lot of them still communicate so easily in some cases.
Definitely. Have you ever heard about like the stone tape theory? Like, do you believe that they're on one plane of level and we're just like kind of like gliding up against each other? Like, what do you feel like the spirits think we are? Are we spirits to them and they're just living their daily life, or are we like coming into their world?
Well, people ask me questions all the time and things like that. And I think in the circumstance of the paranormal in general, it's never one answer. It's many answers. And that the answer to that question, I believe, is the same, is that, there's many diversified types of spirits, the diversified abilities of spirits, and what they're capable of doing or not doing, or what they're able to know or see. Or there could be residual that you can't communicate with them. So it just depends. I mean, some of them might not know they're dead. They might be reliving it over and over again. And some of them might be able to see you but not hear you. Then you have some that can hear you and not see you. Then you have some that actually can hear and see you. So I feel like there's all different levels of types of spirits that have different capabilities. And then you have some of these spirits that actually can move physical objects, which is rare and not as much as you'll see in some of these videos out there. But many different spirits and abilities, and some are more advanced, I think, innovatively speaking, than others, how they can use their energy to do stuff. It's very fascinating, and we can sit here and theorize till the cows come home what they're doing. But throughout my years, I definitely think there's many different spirits and what they're capable of doing or not doing. Never just, okay, it's one thing. You might have someone that's just like Nicole Kidman from The Others, and then someone else is like, here's this guy, I mean, like, using some device, and I want to communicate with him. When other spirits might be thinking, like a Beetlejuice situation where they're like, people move into our house and get them out. I don't, it's
The Beetlejuice situation, yeah. Yeah, that made me chuckle. I'm like, that's a different way to explain that. The whole Beetlejuice.
Well, I mean, people
It's
moving to
funny
people.
because I was just wearing a Beetlejuice shirt yesterday.
Well, we know renovations, get
Yeah, they spike
activity all
activity.
the time, and that same principle, obviously, in that movie, not to that, reality, but I mean that happens all the time. People start moving around, knock a wall down, and just when something wasn't active before, it just gets unlocked. We don't know what's going on, but it's doing something.
Oh, absolutely. Like people always say, like renovations spike activity because you just you never know what's gonna happen when you do that.
100%.
I know you have a
I had a
question,
question.
Alicia.
Yeah, how'd you know? I was gonna ask about like the demonologist side. Okay, so do you feel like certain people like bring in that spirit per se, like certain things that they do everyday life, like their habits or whatever that can cause them to be like a target?
I do believe that negative energy will attract negative energy. I'm definitely a firm believer in law of attraction. Uh, I've definitely heard lots of stories about people that have had, drug addiction problems. I'll never forget. I bring up this story sometimes. This guy that I met at my first paranormal conference, like 20 years ago, and this guy wrote a book about a near-death experience he had, and he secretly was a drug addict, which his wife actually didn't know. And this one time, he actually passed out in a drug house, and he started to overdose, and the entire house filled up with shadows everywhere. And he said he explained that he was around this burning place with 15-foot creatures whipping people. The smell of sulfur was so putrid, and he said that his right side was being like bit by like a donkey creature, and his left side being scratched by a goat-like creature. And he said in this one moment, within like 1 second, he said he felt like he was in hell for an eternity, which is very profound and very true, because there is no conception of time in the spirit world. Past, present, future are all the same thing. That's why our bodies actually get old in the physical world, but our energy obviously is a different place, because your energy it is, and it always will be. And he said he had actually prayed for God to get him out of this situation, and a hand came out of the sky, pulled him out, and he ran home and passed out next to his bed. And when he woke up, he had a bite mark on his right side and scratch marks on his left. And his wife said he reeked of sulfur for weeks after that. And, it's like little stories like that. I mean, when you're doing dark stuff and you're wasting your life, I mean, the demonic want us to, they want us to fail. They want us to cause divide, chaos, and for us to make us suffer, and everyone around us that's to suffer, that we care about, and ultimately say to God, you should have created man. Um, they didn't want to worship a creature that has no higher knowledge, and they obviously lost that battle. And because of our own free will, just like I'm sure it goes back in the Bible, it's just the metaphorical, like you're talking about the apple, so to speak. I mean, we have our free will. We have our ability to make choices, and those choices can lead down some really dark places and also attract some very dark things. It's definitely possible and feasible that energy's going to latch on. I think the energy around us, again, your aura. I think the colorization of that and what you're doing, and it's just like, for instance, even myself, like if I went out and like had a few too many drinks and I kind of had a little hangover the next day, I kind of know in the back of my mind that I might have something weird, creepy happen. And I do believe that happens because I lowered my vibration, because I indulged a little bit. And then these things know that, and then it makes you susceptible. And it's also the same thing too. And I've had this experience as well. Like if I'm going to film like documentaries for like days at a time, and like if I'm going to some really dark places and I don't sleep, and again, once again, your vibration is lower, and that makes you more susceptible to the influence, the psychological, emotional, spiritual attacks of these things. And they know that there's a crack in your aura to project and try to influence that type of environment within you and everything around you. So vibration is very, very true, and negative energy wants negative energy. So it's always good to be, when you're doing these things, to be at the highest vibration possible, encounter these things if you can.
So now I'm thinking like, because I don't know, like if you go to a place that's haunted, like the spirit's like already there, or like do you manifest it, like, or so like with a demon, Like, where do they come from? Are they always around, or are you manifesting them to come to you?
So if you go into a location, if there's really dark, malevolent entities there, or demonic spirits, they already know your history. So I always make this example: if there's like 10 of you, and one of you has like a history of drug addiction or abuse, that you were abused as a child, they know that you're the perfect, potential victim. And I make the metaphor of, it's kind of like a school of fish with one fish that's wounded and it's flapping in the water. Now, who's that shark going to go towards? That they think you're prey because they feel the frequency's letting off that you are a wounded fish and that you are the best individual thing to be prey and accomplish, chomping on that prey. So it's the same thing when you go into these places. They can see into the future somewhat outside of our free will, and they can sit around. They might know that you have something bad coming up in your life, and they'll sit around like, well, I'll follow this person home. They won't know it has anything to do with, something evil, and they'll be so tied up emotionally, psychologically, emotionally, that they won't realize that I'm trying to amplify their emotions and try to send echoes to telepathically, to send thoughts and words into the point where you ultimately are more upset, more depressed, more angry, to the point where you want to like act out on that, hurt yourself or hurt others in the process, and start the stages of what those things can do with the infestation, oppression, and in a rare case, possession.
So what if it's like just a person that's never investigated, not been to any paranormal locations, any haunted locations or whatever? So how does a demon just find them? Like I said, are they manifesting them, or are they just always kind of around and we just don't know?
Well, it depends what type of place you're going to. I mean, what I like to call it is kind of like the spiritual rules of engagement. Once you actually step into a place, you're using your intent. Now, intent is another very profound element in the paranormal. These spirits know your intent, and I feel like they can tap into it, through your aura, the colorization of that. When you use your intent to engage and try to communicate with souls, every single one of us take risks investigating the paranormal, going to any of these places. And if there's like a dark energy that's there in the shadows, they're going to choose whatever person that they can to try to manipulate the situation and get as much chaotic and suffering out of that situation as they possibly can with that person, no matter who they are, whether it's their first time investigating or their 100th time. I mean, it's just like the Ouija board too. I mean, like I played with the Ouija board once, and some guy coerced me to it, and I got oppressed by an evil spirit. It's no walk in the park, but I do believe that God let me go through that for a reason. So because I have an understanding from that dark place, kind of like a drug counselor to a drug addict, to say, hey, look, I've been there. I've been in that dark place, and I know exactly what oppression is. And this is what you're doing. You have to be objective about your emotions. If they don't make sense, you got to take a step back and try to reassess on what's going on, and realize that there could be a third person perspective influence going on from behind the scenes that's lingering over your shoulder. Especially investigator, you always have to be aware of your surroundings as we get involved with this stuff. That is the most delicate, dangerous element of the paranormal. I deal with this all the time. I have things trying to bully me and try to break me down and oppress me, all the time, trying to make me think that I'm going to fail, and all negative stuff, especially because I piss off evil spirits all the time. And that's a unique thing too for me too, because it makes it harder. Because I mean, how many people have to has the demonology aspect, and on top of it, I have to be a medium, because these things know that I can see them and feel them and hear them. So I have to deal with that. I got to carry that burden of cross all the time. They know when I have weak moments, and they're going to come out and pounce on me. And it's a challenge. It's a real set of trials and tribulations from a spiritual standpoint that is very, very challenging. And I've had to overcome many attempts on things trying to oppress me. And it's definitely a unique, thing that I've been involved with, to have both those things going on, and pissing off evil spirits. They are relentless infinitely, and any chance that they can get, they know your worst day blacked out on the calendar in the future, and they're going to sit there and try to cheer on and throw gasoline on a fire that could be just a small little spark. So, this is something you got to deal with, and something you got to be mindful. But for any of us, again, we take risks. Any of us investigating the paranormal at any level, any of this stuff can happen at any given moment.
Yeah, you never know. Even if you're just like at like any place, you never know what could attached to you or anything, and then you walk into a haunted location, you never know what will happen as well.
Mhm.
So it's a gamble every time.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Like, I've had spirit attachments, and I don't wish those on anyone else. So I know exactly how that is. So.
Yeah. I mean, even if you move into a home and there was like, horrific abuse that went on there,
Hmm.
like passed away from murder or something like that, and like you don't know, and you sleep in that environment for like a long periods of time, eventually their emotions, that suffering, and that type specific of energy that's in that environment it'll start to take its toll on you, whether you like it or not, subconsciously, emotionally, and so forth. So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, being around this stuff and going to these places where there are human souls, and if they're human souls and they haven't like transitioned, that means there's suffering going on, and
Yeah.
all the oppressive energy, it can really come home with you, and it can really mess you up. It can stick to you like ooze for weeks after, which I'm sure you guys too. I mean, you go to some of these
Oh
places,
yeah.
it just sticks around. Some of these are just unique, and the blackness and the dark, you feel like you're just walking in quicksand, and just everything's heavy, and it's a lot to deal with, and you got to be super
Absolutely.
and make sure that you can step out of that and make things lighter. That's why I ground myself every single day, because you have to, because these things will just start piling up, especially as much as you get used to paranormal and go to these places, because it can start packing up and weighing you down.
Oh yeah. So how do you say protect yourself? How do you sage yourself? Because I know there's different ways of for people to protect themselves and sage themselves. Some people use white sage. Some people use sweetgrass, Palo Santo. What do you use?
Well, obviously, I do everything that's blessed. I wear a blessed St. Michael pendant here that's on my neck here. It's been touched by the relic of the true cross that Jesus was crucified on, that Ralph has. Lorraine Warren had a fragment as well. Anything it touches is considered a third class relic. It pretty much never leaves my neck. Obviously, my faith, most importantly. I don't just throw prayers out there and use it as some sort of like, verbal bullets, so to speak. I mean, you have to believe in those words. If you truly believe that God's more powerful than any devil, demon, or diabolical force, and not fear these things, they can't do to you idealistically what they want to do to you. I always make that comparison. If God told you to walk between, two mountains, and there's no bridge there from top to mountain, your step is either going to fall to the bottom of the mountain, or you're going to be able to walk across that invisible bridge, kind of like the end of Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to dealing with this stuff, being in front of them and believing that God's more powerful. Because people always ask me all the time, do you get scared? I was like, I can't get scared, because if
No,
I'm
you can't.
scared, that means I undermine my faith in God to protect me. I can be startled. They'll come to me when I'm sleeping, because I'm most vulnerable that time. That's when we're
Hmm.
all vulnerable, because we're trying to
Yep.
like relax, and they'll try to keep me up. I've had stuff happen to me recently. They try to keep you up. If I don't sleep, my vibration drops,
Yep.
and but in the end, it's just I use my prayers, of protection, holy water. I constantly bless my place, on and off. These things can just come home with you, and things happen no matter what I could do. I could take every precaution known to man, and something could still happen at my home, or follow me somewhere. So, but I think it's more important most to really realize what can go on from the back of your mind, and just realize, be mindful of your surroundings, emotionally, and spiritually, and psychologically, and then take all those precautions, obviously, as always.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Katie McVeigh, the one who's throwing the booze on the battleship, asked, in addition to house blessings, can Sean close portals that attract dark energies? Is that possible, and how is it done?
Well, it's really just dependent on how the portal was opened. What was the exact thing that did it in the home. Now, if there was something that was truly evil there, that would consider demonic, I would do the exorcism ritual, and that would take blessed frankincense and myrrh, blessed salt, holy water. I mean, I would smoke the entire house out, with the prayer, the ritual, and blessed Saint Benedict medals in the four corners of the property, with the hopes of just pushing everything out, and then sealing the property so nothing can actually come back in. But portals can be kind of complicated in some cases. I mean, there can be always some sort of residual, but that would be like my best chance of really, if something was coming through there, because if something really dark was there. And here's another thing too. I mean, that I would come into difficulties with the intentions of the homeowners too. I mean, I can sit there and turn their house into a church, and if they don't have the intention, subconscious
Yeah.
of what is in their home, it's a different ball game these days in the present day when it was 30 years ago. Because in the old days, people would have to look up in the yellow pages for a parapsychologist. Otherwise, they'd be shunned and sent off out of their neighborhoods with pitchforks and torches. Now it's like, I get people tagging me and stuff on TikTok and places all the time, and they're like, "Oh, my place is like terrifically haunted," and then like, you should help these people, and like they'll reach out to me like, "Yeah, I need your help." And then all of a sudden they're posting videos every day and they get millions of views and they're making big bucks. They don't give a crap about their house being haunted anymore. It's a money maker. So it's a different world than it was decades ago. So there's a lot of factors at play, and not just about trying to get rid of in the home. Because again, if the people that are living in there, if they don't have the intentions to get rid of it, these things know that, and they can also retaliate against you, knowing that they're going to too. So you have to be careful of that as well, and know the risk involved if you decide to actually engage this stuff, knowing that it's going to be a losing battle.
Definitely. Michael, who is a comedian, he'll be at the booths on the Battleship, asks, "Are you saying we're more likely to find we evil than evil?" I think he meant like, I don't know what he means by that. That's Michael for you.
I think he's making up Michael, some kind of animal.
Yeah, right. I think so. He's gonna be fun on the Battleship. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple minutes left. I always ask this question: if money wasn't an issue, travel wasn't an issue, where would you go in the world to investigate and speak to spirit? Where would you like to visit?
If I had the ability to go any haunted location, I would definitely just lock me in the Amityville house, because I have personal experiences involving that case. That's what that documentary behind me is all about.
Mm-hmm.
But if it had to do with traveling, I would love to go to a crazy place like Poveglia Island and stay over. I am very attracted to the darkest, creepiest places. I mean, a place like that, it would be super, terrifying, but also, I
don't think I could do Pavilion Island. No. Take me to Ireland or Leap Castle for me.
Yeah, of course I would love to go to like, Irish castles in the UK and go underground to some of the catacombs and things like that.
The catacombs,
Dracula's castle or whatever it is. I mean, of course it would be super interesting to go to any of those places. I've never been over that side of the planet yet. I mean, people always ask me all the time too, like, what's your favorite haunted location to go? And to be honest with you, my answer for that is I love going to a brand new place that I've never been to before. That's my most exciting thing, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like when I go to a place, it's like you kind of know, maybe it'll be different, but still like going to a new place and hearing the story about it, or not the unknown. I mean, that's why we're fascinated. We love the unknown. That's the reason why we're involved in stuff. But going to a place that's brand new and not knowing what's going to happen is very exciting to try to unravel that.
It's like a little kid on Christmas Day. You just don't know what you're going to see and get, and you're going in with just like, you can watch all the shows that have been there, but to experience it yourself, you never know what you're going to see or get that night.
Right, and me being sensitive too, like things come to me, before I go to location, I'll get a dream. Things will try to sway me, helping somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The whole process of things, weird things will start happening, and it's just like, it's unraveling the mystery, and then obviously the purposeful part of trying to help the people with this whole fascination of what's going on. I mean, it's again like when the paranormal realized that was a reality. It's just your perception of everything changes, and it makes every little part of Earth and your life here like way more interesting, knowing that all this stuff is around all the time.
Right. You said like having dreams before you go. Like I'm already having dreams about Elvis, and I'm still like 28 days before going. But I remember after I went last year for the first time, I was having dreams after I went of the little girl that died, or one of the little girls that died there in the tub. She kept coming to me in dreams. So yes, spirits come to you in dreams after and before you come to or go to locations. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Alicia, ask your question that you always ask.
Okay, so this is kind of new. I wanted to ask, what is the most funniest experience that you've had with interaction with a spirit or another person, like during an investigation or whatnot?
Funniest.
Yeah.
He's got to think about that one.
The funniest. Um, I mean, they've come up with banter that we set ourselves, and things like that. I mean, I got this flirtatious woman that's a woman of the night, lady of the night from Shanley Hotel. Her name's Anna, and I've had some really hilarious. She's literally she's so sassy and flirtatious and like inappropriate, and some of the stuff that she says is just really funny. And when I'm like live streaming, people just get a really kick out of it. I mean, she's asked me to marry her. She's like, I have her, where's my ring? I mean, it's just, and then she just said some like straight up inappropriate stuff, and it's pretty comical. I'd say probably some of that. Just thinking online really quickly.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what she says to you.
Yeah, right? I could just imagine.
Yeah, it's the worst you could ever imagine. I mean, for instance, like really funny. Like I did a live. I was here, and I had an EVP. She's like, I'm in your bed, and I took an AI image with a TikTok filter, and there was a woman under the covers in my bed.
Oh wow!
Oh no!
Yeah.
Wow.
She really likes you.
Oh yeah, that's an understatement.
So, where can people see you? How can they get in contact with you? Upcoming events that you are going to be at?
Yeah, I mean, my website, SeanDAustin.com, SEAN, D as in David, AUSTIN.com. And I'm really pushing hard and putting long form content on YouTube, editing episodes and paranormal investigations, and obviously the Up Against Evil. As I get more cases of that, I'll be putting it out. Just go to Sean Austin Paranormal on YouTube, look it up and sub right away. And I'm posting a lot of content on there and full investigations and episodes and live streams.
What events do you have
Looking
coming up?
Forward to that.
Booze on the Battleship.
As of right now, the Battleship is the next event that I have. I'm going to the Bash, the Gettysburg Battle Bash, which I've been going to pretty much every year. That I think is July, if I stand correct.
Yes. July 25th through the 27th.
There's a couple other ones that are up in the air, but I haven't really confirmed that, but I'll post about it once it is.
Awesome. So people come out to the Battleship, hang out with us. With your ticket, you get full day admission to the Battleship, so you can walk around and check it out before the sun goes down and we're in pitch black.
Yeah, right.
Come out, see Sean and everyone else who will be at the Booze on the Battleship. I have, let me see. I know I have a graphic for it. Just gotta find it. Oh, that's not it. Where's my Booze on the Battleship? Oh, maybe I don't have it. Oh, I thought I did. I thought I did. Well, I don't. But it is April 26th in Wilmington, North Carolina. I think Katie said there's a few tickets left. It's almost sold out, so come down and see Sean, see me, and like Shane Pittman, Josh Purvis, the guys from Stream Beacon will be there. So come down and hang out. I can't wait to see you again in about a month.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
I know it's the town that I live in, so it's like right here.
I know. You don't even have to stay at the hotel. You can just go back to your house.
You want to get a hotel? I'm like, come on. I'm like right down the street. You don't have to get me all good.
You're like, I could just drive down the street and go to and lay in my bed. I don't need a hotel.
There's no problem there. I know. I was telling some of the guys I'd like to show them a local cemetery I found. There is a creepy haunted cemetery that I found here, right here, and it's like down this long road. It's a dead end, and it's like around the woods, and it is haunted as shit there. Oh my gosh!
I'll go with you. I want to check this place out.
Yeah, it is wild.
Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, have a great night.
Thank you.
You guys too.
Nice
See
to
you
meet
soon.
you.
You too.
So that was Sean. So if you're down in the southern part of the U.S. near North Carolina, come and see us on April 26th. Next Sunday we have Sam Beltris's coming on. Super excited. I've been trying to get him on for the last couple of years and finally got to the point that we can get him on, so I'm super excited. He'll be at the Paranormal Lockdown in July. I've known him for a few years, so excited to have him on. Alicia, do you have anything coming up that you want to promote? I know your event is sold out.
Yeah, finally sold out on the Haunted 1861 Masonic Lodge. Yay!
Yay!
So we got that coming up in May. Yes. And that's pretty much it. Besides this, for right now, we're on a little pause still, but everybody's like, man, I really want to go investigating and missing it. I was like, yeah, me too. Like, so we're gonna figure something out to fill in those gaps.
We have like 2 months until our investigation together. Just over 2 months, so I'm super excited. At least it's gonna.
I am going to Edinburgh Manor again.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm going back. Let's see.
And Eternal X Wealth.
Yeah, April 11th.
Ooh, fun. And you'll be on.
Oh yeah, that's on my phone too.
Pack Paranormal next week, so check that out on that page. I was gonna say something. Alicia's gonna be strapped into a wheelchair when I see her next, so or strapped on.
I work with wheelchairs, so I'll be okay with it.
Okay, I'll strap you to a gurney then.
Okay.
Y'all, when me and her get together in May, there's gonna be live streaming happening of our challenges because I have a wicked mind. But we will.
Hopefully, I don't break the gurney.
You can't break a gurney very much, I guess.
I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
We'll find out. It'll be live streamed. It'll be live streamed if she does. But next Sunday, we have Salvador Cheeses. And then we have some amazing guests coming up. But yeah, we'll see you all back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I know daylight savings kind of confused some people today, so I'm excited that you all joined us. But we will see you all next Sunday.